Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hammer Podcast. Today is October 16th, 2020, and I'm speaking with Colton Schrag. Am I correct on that? Schrag. I'm sorry. Schrag. Yes. He went to the Agape Boys Ranch from 2006 to 2010. Colton, the floor is yours, my friend. Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah, so when I went to Agape, it was actually called Agape Boarding School.
Okay.
So I guess the name's changed a few times. Yeah, so that was actually my second time going back to that school. First time I was young, maybe 11 or left when I was like 13 and a half maybe. I came back. I got in some trouble. Not too much though, just a temper and some fights in school. Ended up back at Agape the day after Christmas in 2006. And then was there until I finished school, turned 18, and left for the military. So, I mean, that's how I got there.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Army,
All right.
And I got hurt, healed up, and then I went to the National Guard thinking I was going to go active again.
Mm-hmm.
By that time, I was working in the oil field and had no interest in going full-time military, like full-time Army again.
I hear you.
Just going to, stay a weekend warrior.
There you go.
Did that, yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Did that until my enlistment was up. So
Great.
Yep.
Thank you for your service.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for supporting all the military people.
You're welcome. I always do. I have. My father was in the military. He was in the Vietnam War. He's a Marine, and
It's hardcore.
My brother was a Marine as well. So.
Good deal, yeah. Yeah, your dad was probably hardcore, man.
Yes, he was. He's still here, thank goodness. So, he's still going strong.
Good.
All right.
Good deal.
So, you got to the Agape boarding school. You get there. Did they drop you off at the golf course like they did with James Griffey?
No, by that time, by my second time, the school was pretty much built. The students built it, so they didn't really have to do stuff like that.
Okay.
I will note this, though, man. If you look at the pictures on the website now, it's like a 5-star facility, right? All that grass and stuff. When I first went there, every field was dirt and rocks. Your first impression was like, what the heck is this place, man? So, and I'm 12 at this time, so the first time, my parents are dropping me off saying it's going to be like a summer camp type deal, right? Loaded. I mean, I believed them, and they were wrong. And the first thing I saw was just like, so there's a main office, and they were still kind of building like the main dining hall. It was there, but they were doing some construction. They had a horse corral, like not even a corral. It was like 20 little like fence gates.
Right.
Like chicken wired together, and a horse stayed there. And I was like, this is kind of crazy. This is weird.
Just one horse?
And just one horse, yeah. Just one horse right there.
Oh,
and that was the first thing you saw, and it smelled real bad. And I'm like, this is going to be a summer camp. I don't know what's going on here. Anyways, went to school. Talk about the second time. The second time I knew what was going on. Day after Christmas, I mean, my Christmas presents, if you will, were white T-shirts and white socks. So I was like, dang it, going back a second time.
Oh boy.
And I didn't really fight it because I was like, there's no point. I'm gonna run away, get caught, end up back there anyways, and then it'll be miserable, even more so the second time.
Right.
So I get there, and Brian, of course, knew who I was. They take me in, strip me down, and make sure I ain't bringing no drugs or whatever in the facility. They're like, yeah, since you're here the second time, you don't have to be an orange shirt again. We're gonna put you in a yellow shirt and put you on buddy status to make sure you're familiar with the rules. I'm like, well, if the rules haven't changed, then I know what you guys expect,
Yeah.
And well, I was still on buddy status. And from there, yeah, I mean, stayed on buddy status for a while because I kept getting in trouble. I think I got there, so the 26th, I think it was pretty late. If I remember right, it was around 7. They had already eaten. So, yeah, went to bed and then started my second term at Agape.
Your second sentence.
Yeah, pretty much, man. I didn't really start like calling it that until I don't know, maybe like the last year and a half. Because if you think about it, like we didn't have no freedom, no rights. We had to do what we were told, which as a kid you should do what you're told anyways, right? But
Yeah.
you should be allowed to free think
Sure.
and have an opinion, even if it's doesn't matter. You should still have one. We were locked in, magnetic door locks, you know. So like you couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. If you questioned it, you either got some type of punishment, or it was if they didn't like it, they just decided they were gonna hit me up all the time. So it pretty much was a sentence, right?
Pretty much.
You know, they would bring they would bring inmates in. Not all the time, but I think 2 times this happened. They brought inmates in a prison in Missouri, up kind of closer by like St. Louis, and those guys, you know, had more freedom than we did, and they were convicted. So they committed crimes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, as a sentence.
So how was the food? I ask every Agape Boy survivor that. How was the food?
So it was, I don't know, it was like, I want to say 50-50, but the more I think about it, it's probably like 30-70, right? 30% good, 70% bad. You had good days like Saturday morning breakfast, which was always exciting because you got a lot of food, and so you had plenty of food to eat. Probably because, looking back, it's because they were going to make us pull weeds or haul rocks or do some type of like chore for like 4 or 5 hours to lunch. That's probably why they fed us a bunch.
Yeah.
Then Sundays you had burgers for lunch, anyways.
Oh.
So that was always good. They grilled them. Spaghetti night, I guess. I mean, I don't even know if that was good. It was just we could have a lot of food, so it was good for us. And then other times it was like I don't really feel like eating, but I know I have to because I'll get in trouble for 1, and 2, I'm not going to eat anything till the next day. So, like Saturday nights were like the worst meal ever. It was usually some type of like pasta or casserole, but it wasn't good. Like they bragged about it too. Some of them, they're like, "Yeah, it's called hobo casserole," and you're like, "What the heck is hobo And it literally was disgusting. I mean, it was nasty.
I mean, just
it was like they threw some ground beef in it, and I don't know, maybe some noodles or something, and threw a bunch of other crap that was left over, I guess, into it. Disgusting. It was not good. We ate that quite often. So the food, I mean, it had its good days. Yeah. You know, they made pancakes in the morning on Mondays and Wednesdays, and so those pancakes were good. I mean, nothing was healthy though. Like it was either high carbs or like super high in sugars. Like there was no like, I don't know, healthy. I don't know.
Yeah, fruits, vegetables.
Yeah, so
fresh stuff. You know.
I mean, there was fruits and vegetables, but it all came from a can.
Yeah. That's
and it was like, yeah, you're making it for 175, 200 people.
That's true.
So there's still no quality in that.
Well, they could have taken all that farmland that they had. They could have taken and grown their own vegetables and stuff. That way you could have fresh vegetables. But I guess they'd rather have one stinky horse.
Well,
in the
I
barn.
mean, they had other animals, right?
Yeah.
Just the first thing. I mean, that was just the first thing I saw. They had my first time there. They had like 2 camels, 2 zebras. They got water buffaloes. I mean, they had exotic animals, right? But yeah, that horse was just kind of random. So yeah, they had the money to definitely have better food, I think.
Oh,
but they were feeding all of us, which they knew we couldn't eat anything else. There's no other option. And then they would feed like their staff, kids in the staff, and the staff wives. I mean, those staff members had it made, man. I mean, yeah, sure they had to deal with us, but free housing or like super cheap housing. I think free food all the time. I mean, yeah, it was ridiculous. Free labor. You needed a project done. You had 175 students to go pick from.
Yep, you didn't have to hire a contractor. You just get the kids out there to do it. Yep.
Oh yeah, I
And
mean
they
we
were,
worked
and they were making
all the time.
they were making a shitload of money too. They were making a
Oh
money hand
yeah,
over fist.
easily. Oh yeah. I mean, we knew they were making money because some staff would be rolling up in like a $500,000 RV, and we'd clean it out for them, or in their 6-car garage. Each garage had like a '67 Mustang or Corvette or something like that. So there
Yeah.
was definitely money being made. All the staff members could afford to drive around at the. Well, this kind of happened later on, right? They used to walk next to us while we were in line going places. Then they all started getting like nice 4-wheelers and like Polaris Razors type things. Like a drive while they marches to wherever they needed us. So the money was definitely not shy. There's money there.
Oh yeah, especially from what was it your parents that sent you there, and they were fitting the
Yeah.
bill, or they were fitting the bill?
Yeah, well, so I was adopted at a young age, so my parents are paying it, but the state was giving them money to help pay me to be there. Some type of program or something. Yeah, I found that out recently.
Tax dollars, okay.
Yeah. So
All right.
New Mexico citizens were paying my time at that school.
So Colton, what went wrong? What happened? What was some of the problems that was going on there? Did you get the Jurassic elbow? I keep hearing about this Jurassic elbow.
Man, I got that a few times actually. So my first time there, I got it once, right? So I first get there, I'm 12 years old. Told them I'm going to a camp, and we do the tour of the facility, which at the time wasn't as nice as my second time around.
Right.
But it worked. They still have nice stuff. And anyways, they sold it to my parents, and my parents left me. Well, I told them, I don't really want to stay here, so I kind of like went to run out. A little 12-year-old trying to run to his parents.
Yeah.
And Brian was in there with, I think at the time we called them Eagles, or they were captains or red shirts. Had a red shirt, and then I guess my buddy. I didn't make it out the door. Brian grabbed me and slammed me. So that was the first time. So I was 12, real small. After that, they restrained me or got control of me and made sure I wasn't going to do that again. So I didn't really have any issues the first time. I watched it happen all the time. The older boys, they would mouth off, boom, get elbowed right in the face or slammed, or, it wasn't just him. It was several staff members would do this.
Right.
And they would encourage students to do it so the staff didn't have to get involved. Or we would go into what they called like a staff culture, which is like maximum security prison. You just can't lock us in a cell because you don't have them, right?
Yep.
So that they.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so they encouraged the students to try to step in first, so they didn't have to deal with it, and so we did. So students did step in a lot of times.
And of
The
course,
second time though, man, good.
And they're not liable either. They'll just watch it and.
No, yeah, teenagers.
Yeah, teenagers. They'll get a slap on the wrist, if they're.
Yep.
Assault.
And the staff will break up the fight or take over eventually, but that's how it was. Second time around, though, man, Brian, he got me a few times. I also came back though, like, nah, I'm getting older now. I'm not 12 anymore. I started fighting in school. Not to like pick fights. I just got tougher, and so when I went back, I pretty much was like, screw it. I'm here till I'm 18. I'm not gonna suck up to anybody, and I don't care. I was angry.
Right.
And so he told me, the first night back, he's like, well, you're coming back. The little old Colton, or little old Schrag, they called me. And I looked at him and said, I think you're in for a different ball game. I'm not the same boy that left. And it wasn't the case,
Yeah.
And that's just how that started. Yeah, the Jurassic elbow was real. Up until he left anyways. But
He's
not
back.
only just from him, right?
He's back.
Oh, he's back, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we're talking now.
Yep.
He was gone for 10 years, and it's crazy. So I remember when he left. I think it was like end of 07, 08, something like that. And I actually left on punishment while he was on punishment. So back then, if Brian put you on no talking or on the wall or whatever in a different color shirt, nobody could get you out of it except for him, right? It's his dictatorship.
Right.
So a lot of things that happened. I got in trouble I was on no talking for like 9 months before he left, which I'm sure you've heard about no talking from some of us. Stare at your Bible, kind of look around, typical. So I was on for like 9 months, and I was in a yellow shirt, but I was floating. They didn't really need a buddy. I just kept getting in trouble. And he left, and I remember like not seeing him for a few days, like days he should have been there, like Mondays, and then in church he should have been around. And I remember I asked some staff member that was halfway decent to us. I was like, man, is that dude gone? And he said, yeah, he don't work here no more. I just remember like the relief, like, thank God he can stop beating us up. And it wasn't just, I don't know, me, but he did it to several other kids. So, yeah, I remember like when he left, it was like, finally, this dude's out of here, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he left. He just one day was not there anymore.
Well, maybe one of these days we'll find out.
Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, that dude, he got something wrong with him. He's like narcissistic, manipulative. Like I don't even know. Like I feel like he got off on fucking with us.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Sadist. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for one time I had gotten in trouble. I don't even know. I think I said something like in the morning, and the kids there, man, like they would straight tell on people just to build status, right? To get more privileges, and which is fine. Yeah, I get it now. Adapt and overcome or whatever. Right. I guess I said something like I cussed or who knows, and they told on me. Brian got mad and decided he was gonna mess with me. And there'd be like parents on a visiting their kid. He'd brag about it, like, yeah, this guy cussed in the morning. Colton, how old are you? 15, 58 count bodybuilders, just for being 15. I'm like, in my head, I'm like, are you serious? Can't control that and do nothing wrong. Right. But that's what, made his day, and he got off on it, I guess. But,
he got absolute pleasure out of it.
Oh, I'm sure he did. I'm sure that was the highlight of his life right there, doing that to these kids for all those years. And then when Trinity School was around, I mean, I was there. I was young enough, but I was there early enough to know, like, some of the kids that went to Trinity, because they were still there when I first went there. You just heard story after story on how bad it was. So that's crazy.
Trinity? Was that another school?
Yeah, so Trinity Boys Academy or Trinity Academy or something like that. Uh-huh. Have you heard of Refuge of Grace Girls School or Wings of Faith?
I've heard of Wings of Faith. Yes.
That's the old Trinity building.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Is that also in Missouri?
Yeah, it's like 5 minutes down the road. Yeah.
They had them all grouped together, huh? Wow.
Yeah, Missouri's the breeding place for that crap. And I mean, schools will get shut down, and 3 days later, the same school will be back up with a different name.
Probably a different owner. Probably.
No, same owner.
Same owner.
Yeah. There's a school there now. I think it's called Masters Ranch or something like that.
I've heard of that one.
I guess they got shut down, and then now they're operating again, like 2 or 3 schools. So I mean, it didn't matter to them.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything bad about that one. I don't really know because I don't really like look into these schools anymore. So what I know is just what I hear.
Yeah. You've seen some of the videos with like James Griffey and
I watched everyone.
Jay Frazier. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I actually was a student with Jay.
Oh, were you?
So yep. The second time he'd gotten there, and then he graduated, but for a few months he was there when I was there. So,
okay.
Yep.
And you couldn't have any friends there. You couldn't have any people.
Well, I mean, not supposed to.
Oh.
I still got a couple of guys that are lifelong friends from that school. One of them was in my wedding. Just lifelong friends.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we weren't like, man, it was so crazy. So, and I don't think it's like this now. I could be wrong. I haven't been there. I think they're allowed to call it talk without staff. So I think they're allowed to talk and have conversations. Now, when we were there, we couldn't talk at all. Well, we did, but we weren't allowed to. Because in the staff eyes, we could only talking about 1 or 3 things. Talking about running away, talking about beating up staff, or talking about their staff kids, like daughters or staff wives, for whatever reason. Yeah, I mean, so like if I wanted to have a conversation with somebody, I'd have to take them to a staff member and ask the staff member the question, and then he answered to the staff member. That was our conversation. So we learned how to talk, like ventriloquist pretty well. I mean, we talked. When you got 180, 200 dudes in a building, you're not going to talk.
Yeah, that's true.
We just made sure they couldn't catch us.
And I'm sure there was a lot of internal conflict, boys fighting with boys all the time. I'm sure it happened.
It wasn't all the time. For the most part, we were decently okay. Every now and then, probably once a week, two students would get in a fight, or they'd end up in the walk-in fridge, freezer, go at it for a few minutes, and then squash it. Try to do stuff like that so they wouldn't actually get in trouble.
Right.
But when they walk out with black eyes and bloody noses, tends to raise questions.
Right.
But I mean, I do remember a few times, like later on, like the two specific races decided they didn't like each other. They were going to have problems, so they had planned like a race war in that school. And the day, like the lunch, it was supposed to happen at lunchtime, and I guess somebody had heard or told on them, and so they locked it down pretty quick.
Oh.
But yeah, I mean, so very rarely did that stuff happen, but I mean, it happened once in a while.
And of course, you had chapel pretty much every day.
Every day. I think Fridays, for a while, we had it twice a day.
Oh.
We had chapel Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, church service Wednesday, chapel Saturday, 3 services on Wednesday, or Sunday. And for a while, I think we did have chapel twice on Fridays. So, yeah, we had it a lot. It's crazy because, they bring in all these like independent fundamental Baptist famous preachers or evangelists or missionaries to teach us whatever they wanted to teach us. So it's funny now though, but like half of them were like sex offenders and child molesters or didn't pay their taxes. Like some of them are in prison and stuff. It's crazy.
Does that surprise you, Colton? Doesn't surprise me at all.
No,
not at all.
I don't think it's. Yeah,
it would be like if I heard that a famous preacher or a pastor is like, well, he was diddling little girls. Oh, okay. It's like I'm not going. What are you? No, it's like okay, because it happens often. You know what I mean?
Especially, often. Yeah. So like the way I know you're probably familiar with like the IFB.
Yes,
I call it movement. It's
a cult.
I'm the pastor. What I say, I'm the pastor. It's what I say. It goes. You don't question me because I'm speaking from God, right? Yep. And so when you're that narcissistic, or you think you need to be in that control, who knows what you're doing?
I've always said that all he is a mammal that thinks that he can tell us what to do because God told him. I don't think so.
Yep.
It doesn't work that way. So
yeah. So
it just
we're free thinkers for a reason, right?
That's the Baptist cult, though. That's how they operate.
That's everywhere.
And the thing is, the Baptists, from what I've seen, they don't get along with anybody.
No, because if you don't believe like them, you're wrong, right?
Exactly. Non-denominational.
You don't read that.
Evangelicals, they're all going to hell.
I watched them throw like versions of the Bible in the trash when kids would get their NSV or NIV, whatever these versions are. They throw in the trash. Oh, that's of the devil. You got to read this 1611 King James.
King James. Yep.
And they would bring people in that are like experts, and they would for chapel they would have these missionaries or evangelists break down like, oh, this came from King James 1611, and it went through this and this to get to here. I'm like, I mean, how do you know that actually? Like, they would just indoctrinate you to believe like them.
This is how absurd it is. Okay, they came out. They came out with a revised version of the King James Bible.
Oh yeah, can't read that.
You can't read that. It's of the devil. I mean, this is how ridiculous this has become. Yep. All they've done is just turned it into modern language.
Yeah,
No
thou
more,
and
no more, yeah, no
you,
more thou or thee or
yeah,
whatever.
the us. Yeah,
And that's it. It's that they didn't
yeah.
insert anything, they didn't take anything out, but it's of the devil.
Yep. You know what's crazy is we were talking about it, but the hypocrisy that I witnessed in that school from select staff members or the people that were preaching down our throats or whatever.
Yeah.
You can't listen to anything with a beat, right? No drums or
Oh yeah.
whatever they would say, and this, no movies with
No movies with. Oh. Okay, I think we got.
staff members'
Oh,
houses,
there you go.
and it was.
I'm sorry, you kind of froze there. I couldn't hear anything. What did you say?
Oh, my bad.
No beat.
What was the last thing you heard?
No beat.
Oh, the music.
Right.
Yeah, like the music. You can't have any beats. Anything from a drone.
Right.
Nothing. No rock. No Christian rock. Christian rock was worth. Anything that was of the devil. Women don't wear pants. Just how it goes. All the beliefs. I'd go on these work crews or stuff to go help these staff members pull weeds around their house because they were too lazy to pull weeds. Why should I do it when I can have these 6 students do it and give them a soda and they'll be happy, right?
Yep.
Or move couches, right? These students can move stuff in my house. You go there, and of course, when they know you're coming, they've got all their stuff put away and they can see it. Well, yeah. I'd be mowing their grass, so I was on like the lawn mowing crew for quite some time, and after I stopped getting in trouble, for the most part, I pretty much was like, I trusted enough to go mow grass out of sight, out of mind on a riding lawnmower. Right. I would see staff wives come out of their house into their vehicles wearing jeans and like stringless shirts or spaghetti strap shirts, just normal people clothes. I would see that, and I'm like, aren't you supposed to, you can be going to hell, aren't you? I don't get it. You're telling us this. Or I would be mowing their yard, and they'd have their windows open. They'd be watching some rated R movie, or I'd have to move rocks and stuff out of the way so I can mow their grass, and there'd be beer bottles and beer cans in the backyard. I'm like, you guys are so hypocritical. I can't even, and it wasn't just one or two. It was several of them.
Yep.
So
if you ever want to meet the biggest hypocrites in the world, go to the religious people. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember grabbing trash bags full of booze and Corona bottles or whatever they drink up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's crazy, man.
Do as I say, not as I do. That's what.
Yeah, and they preach that all the time.
Oh yeah.
So that's why none of us were going to be successful when we left, because they. I mean, if you talk to them, they would always tell us oh, this person is doing bad, and this person is doing bad, or this person is dead, and they would always hype up these troubled, bad stories, and then their success rate was so low because of it. So I've always came to the conclusion Agape had 2 success stories, right? Success stories. You had the Agape boarding school version. I go to Howes Anderson College. I get me a preaching degree on whatever bull crap they're teaching there, because it's worthless. Your college degree from there is worthless.
Yeah, pretty
unless
much.
You're going to go be a preacher.
Yep.
So I gotta go to Howes Anderson for 4 or 5 years, get this doctor's degree in
theology.
Theology. Marry a Christian woman that just wants to have a bunch of kids and doesn't have an opinion, doesn't have a voice, right? That cooks and cleans and does nothing else.
Right.
Wears dresses all the time and that's submissive to the husband, right? Typical abuse.
Yeah.
That's the Agape story, right? Pastor of a church, and then you have the normal success story. Somebody leaves a school, joins the military, or goes to college, gets a degree, gets an honorable discharge, gets a career, has a family, has kids. Sure, they have a beer. They might smoke weed, right? All this stuff.
You're a loser. Yeah. You're a loser.
Yeah,
that's how it is. Yeah.
That's the success story that I talk about. The actual success story, not the one out of 100 kids that go to Bible college.
Well, I've heard.
And it's crazy.
I've heard that a lot of the a lot of these church girls are real freaks, if you know what I mean.
I don't know.
I've heard, I've seen it. Some of those pass around guys like you wouldn't believe. Not all of them. I'm not going to say all of them. So, but
I guess when you're told how to act and told what to wear and all your life, maybe you get a chance to be a free thinker and
you get out in the real
live
world.
Your own life. You decide you want to go crazy.
All of a sudden you're trying things out that have never done before, and it's
probably wouldn't have done.
Yeah, or wouldn't have done.
If you weren't stuck in that sheltered culture,
No. But when they're around you, they're a certain personality. Once they behind closed doors, it's totally different.
Oh yeah,
it's totally different.
It's fake.
It's fake, completely fake. No, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. There's some people that actually, are Baptists that actually believe what they do, what they say.
There's
some of them.
On
yes.
all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not going to say all of them. That would be bad. But for the most part, the ones that I know, when I was there, and I was at the roll-off place in 1982. That's the way it was. Just hypocrisy to the highest degree.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some staff members at Agape that believe what they give out.
Yeah.
And they live it to the T. I mean, I'm not saying there's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of hold them all accountable, though. Everyone that was there when I was there,
sure.
They saw it, witnessed it, didn't do anything about it because they were scared or whatnot. I don't know.
They shouldn't have been.
Yeah, I mean, they should have stepped up when a kid's getting abused. Should have stepped up and said something, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mentally, verbally. I mean, it's all kinds of verbally, physical, mental, and I'm sure in some cases, I know in a couple cases, sexual, right? So I mean, you had all the chances to do right, is what they preach to us: do right, and none of them did. So
right. Well, I'm sure there was some closeted homosexuals over there.
Probably. I've heard stories.
Yeah.
I can't confirm them, right? But I'm sure there's a few things closet over there.
Well, when you got 100 and something boys all together,
yeah,
I'm sure one of them's gonna do something. I mean,
yeah. Sometimes I wondered how they even do a background check, right? Like, I think for a while, when I first went there, I'm not entirely sure background checks were a thing. They might have did a local one or something on paper, but
yeah,
I don't know. I know they didn't do one on us when we graduated the school. Like, if I would graduate and want to stay as a green shirt, they didn't do one. So
yeah. I'm sure most of the staff members were probably, and I'm just guessing here, some of them were probably ex-cons, ex-felons, ex-drug addicts.
Maybe some of them were probably, I'm sure.
From what I've heard, a lot of these, I mean, I've done a lot of interviews with different schools, and I would say probably 98% of the staff were not qualified to be.
I think most of the staff weren't qualified. I know for sure while we went to school, none of them held a teaching license.
Sure.
Right? None of them had a teaching degree. I mean, they might have had Miles Anderson College or some stuff like that. But
even if they were, let's say, an ex-heroin addict, just for example, all they have to do is say, you know what, I accepted Jesus as my Savior. I can help these children. Oh, okay, you're hired. Come on in.
I mean, I know that's a big deal to them. Students couldn't even get privileges ranked up or anything if they weren't born again, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I'm sure
I watched them.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I watched some kids I don't believe like this. I'm not gonna get saved.
Right.
And some kids would have one hell of a time, man. They'd get punished or stuck on the wall all the time or all kinds of craziness until they gave in,
I'm sure some of them were probably pretending to be saved just so they could breeze by there, Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure a lot. Yeah. A lot of them were. There was kids that get in trouble and get saved, get in trouble and get saved, get in trouble and get saved again. And every time they'd get saved, it was like, oh, okay, good deal.
All right.
So, yeah.
Just all you have. I mean, the IFB. Like I said, I'm really familiar with the Baptist religion, I guess you could say, but Roloff is the one that these people emulate all the time.
Oh yeah, and
Lester
they
Roloff.
had his picture on the wall.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the school I went to his his farm. They called it a farm out there in Corpus Christi, Texas. But he always preached once saved, always saved. So once you accept Jesus, 10 years from then, if you, let's say, rape somebody, all you got to do is just ask God for forgiveness. You're golden. You're fine.
Yeah,
keep going in the path. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter how bad the offense was, as long as you ask Jesus to forgive you. I mean, it's not about asking. Let's say asking the parents of that child that you molested or whatever. No, don't ask for their forgiveness. Don't worry about that. As long as you ask Jesus for forgiveness, you're golden, man. Keep striving toward and go down the path.
Yeah, ask for forgiveness. I remember one time.
Yeah.
So Jeffrey Dahmer, he's killed a lot of people, ate a lot of people.
Yep.
They had one preacher that told the story. He was like, "Yeah, I met Jeffrey Dahmer one time, and I got off the bus and he invited me back to his place, and I just had this weird feeling like, oh, I shouldn't go with this guy. And I talked and walked for him while he invited me in, and I feel like Jesus just told me you better not go in there, and so he turned it down. And 6 months later, Jeffrey Dahmer's getting arrested. Right? I'm like, man, that's a bull crap story.
Yeah,
that's some story you try to tell people for some audiences. Well, then he boasted, well, before he was killed, Jeffrey Dahmer was a devout Christian. I'm like, I'm sure he was.
Yep.
So we're gonna see him again in heaven. Praise the Lord. I'm like,
it's all anecdotal evidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a story. I mean, frankly, Colton, I can become invisible when nobody's looking.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, can you prove it? No, they can't be looking. They'll be invisible. That's the way it is. Yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, whatever. I mean, that's just a bunch of crap.
Yeah, that's crap. I mean, you can't make. Maybe he was a Christian. I don't know, but that story you bragging about how God saved you from going to this house. I'm like, come on, man. We're not idiots.
Yeah.
Maybe it's true. I don't know. I wasn't there, but it sure sounded like crap.
Maybe some people believed him. I'm sure.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure we did when we heard the story.
Sure.
Right? Thinking that's crazy. That's so crazy because we're so indoctrinated and brainwashed, on what they want us to believe. So.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, man.
So you basically just cleaned out the place when it came to rocks. You guys hauled all the rocks off.
Oh my gosh, bro! Yeah, dude. We built their facilities, man. They had I want to say 4. They had like 2 or 3 guys that worked for them all the time. And I'm not even sure these dudes are licensed. I think they just got a sweet gig because they knew what they were doing, and they would design it like general contractors, and the students would build it or clear it out.
Right.
These are some of the things that were built while I was there. The chapel was remodeled or finished up the first time. The gym used to be all concrete, like an unlevel, just horrible. That got remodeled. Nice gymnasium. We called them at the time. We called them new dorms, new shower bays, and like the 4th floor movie floor. All that was built by us. The new learning center that you see now. In the pictures, we built that. And their new game, the old learning center became like their where the ping pong tables and pool tables and stuff are. I don't know if you've seen the pictures, but we built that.
But I will though.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's on their website.
Yeah, and of course their website's very deceiving. You see,
it's immaculate.
Yeah, kids all smiling and petting the horses, and it's just deceiving.
Yeah, I don't know how it is now, but I don't know. That is crazy. I mean, the barns there, their rodeo arenas, we built those. Their amphitheater we built. We built the baseball field. I guess it's now like the soccer field. We cleared all that out, planted all the seeds. All that grass that's on that property, I helped spread. They'd show up with like massive, I'm talking 20-foot piles of of grass seed that somebody probably donated,
Oh, sod?
And
Grass sod?
no, not
Oh, it was
just grass
seeds.
seed.
Okay.
Yeah, we didn't lay sod, and we'd take 5-gallon buckets and spread it around through all their fields, and over time it turned green. Like when I first went there was no grass; it was dirt,
And
rocks, and trees. So now you look at all that grass we planted. The trees, we need all this cleared out. And so we'd go in there, haul all these rocks from like a field, like some where their horses or cows are going to be, or whatever. And we'd clean all the rocks out, all the weeds, all the fallen tree branches. We would break down trees to clear those out, like dead trees. We would push them over, and I'm like, all kinds of craziness, man.
You must have had blisters on your hands, or did they make you wear gloves?
I don't remember having a pair of gloves, to be honest.
No.
I'm sure I had a pair once in a while, but I know we had blisters on our hands a few times. Yeah. It's funny. So they would wait till the weeds got like 6 or 7 foot tall, and then make us go pull them instead of when they're. And I'm talking. And I'm not a big dude. I'm 5'5", 5'6". He had weeds 7, 8, 9 feet, and we would go. We'd have to pull these weeds, and a few of us would build a trail like to the center of the weeds.
Yeah.
Pull it, clear out like the center. I don't know, 10 by 10, and just sit in there and not work. Like we didn't care anymore.
Yeah, well, that's what happens. When you treat the work hands, so to speak, like shit.
Now work hands get paid. We didn't get paid.
Oh well, slaves. When you
free labor, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We would haul rocks. We'd haul rocks from one pile to like 400 or 500 feet this way, and just move that pile there. It'd be done. We'd move that pile right back to where we moved them. And we did that hundreds of times. When I first got there, we would get up first thing in the morning. We'd get up and make our bed, get ready, and then go work for 30 minutes before Bible reading stuff, and then go read Bibles. And sometimes we'd work after breakfast to clean the place up for another 30 minutes. So I was always doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever see? I'm not sure if Amanda Householder was there.
She was. I knew her as a kid, right? Boyd Householder. I was a student when he was there. So I can only imagine how he actually treated those girls. Honestly, it's probably 10 times worse than what those girls are saying.
No, probably. So yeah, it's I talk to her occasionally. I gotta hand it to her, man.
What a strong woman, right?
Yes, she is. She's a strong woman.
She's amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
She's amazing.
I give her props, man. I still talk to my family. She doesn't, and it's hard because her father was the founder of that Circle of Hope, and that's got to wreak havoc on your mind, man. The mental status is just broken,
Well, he wasn't good to her.
No,
he abused her, beat them, So
yeah.
It does suck that she can't have that child-parent bond with them, but they did it to themselves.
Oh yeah.
And ultimately, Amanda stood up and did what was right. So, if she ever needed anything, she could reach out to us. We'll take care of her.
Oh yeah.
She's a strong woman, man. None of this would be going on if she didn't stand up. But Agape Kids talked about it all for years. Nobody cared. Nobody listened. My parents, they were like, "Well, you deserved it. You were in trouble, so that's why you got sent there." I'm like, "I deserved to get beat up in the hallway by staff members? No, I didn't deserve that.
No.
Or I didn't deserve to get chokeslammed by another family member of their staff guy because I didn't answer a question within a split second. I didn't deserve that." So
teenagers are rebellious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And their minds are not developed fully.
Nope.
So once you get to that certain age, 24, 25, 26, not all, but most will mature. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so honestly, I may have, if I would have never went there, I probably would have been in and out of juvie over time because I was getting into some pretty bad stuff.
Right.
But, you would have matured up eventually. Sure. It's... Yeah. I don't credit them for much of anything, man. I don't even credit them for my work ethic. I work hard, and I've always worked hard, and but that wasn't them.
Yeah.
I didn't work for them. I hauled rocks and did what I was told, just so I didn't have to hear about it.
Yeah.
My high school diploma was pretty much worthless. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Anything from a religious school is worthless. I mean, when it comes to
Not credited. I mean, when I was going to college, I had to go retake the GED just to get into college, and then I had to start like the prereqs.
Yeah.
That didn't matter. So I mean, the high school diploma was worthless. That's another thing. Like their teachers, they didn't have teachers. I had to teach myself how to do like geometry and algebra 2 and all that. Yeah, that's why I'm like, nobody was licensed teaching there.
No.
They just were flag chasers. They just answered our flags.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Hell on earth, man.
Man, and I ain't even told you stories, man. It was bad. It was horrible. Man, I watched dudes like try to kill themselves because it was so bad, and instead of getting those kids help, like they should have called 911, had paramedics check them out, and
right.
Get a licensed counselor there. What do you think they did instead of that? I'm asking you. What do you think the school did instead of getting help?
Oh, they probably threw them in some room or beat them up or something.
So the second part's right. Yeah, I watched them restrain kids and punish them because they were suicidal or cut themselves or whatever. I mean, what in the real world, what does that do to a person? It makes them want to do it more, right?
Sure.
Not help them. We didn't have a single licensed counselor there to help us for anything. I think towards the end of my time, some dude started showing up that was like, he went to church there. He wasn't a counselor, no license. So yeah, I mean, it was just literally hell on earth, man.
And what about those kids, like you said, that were suicidal? What about them today? Are they even alive?
Some of them are dead.
Yeah.
Some of them are dead, man. It's crazy. I think some of them had suicidal thoughts back then and didn't want to say anything. And then when they tried to make it through the world, for however long they could, and decided it was time, they couldn't do it no more, and decided to kill themselves. But if they would have got the proper help,
exactly,
like they should have, they still may have done it later on, but at least they would have known. Or I can get help for this.
Yeah.
Or not, right?
Yeah, they might be alive today. They might
be alive today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we didn't have any help like that. There's no counseling there for us. And some of these dudes were some hardcore dudes, man. Like when I first went there, when I was a kid, like 12, you had guys from the same gang come in that school, right? And some dudes that had seen some actual stuff. I mean,
yeah, gang members.
Towards the end, towards the end of my time, they kind of, they kind of stopped taking kids like that because those kids, I say I wasn't a gang member, but we tend to think freely, and like, you're not going to tell us what to do. We're going to fight you on this,
Right.
So yeah, I mean, they had all kinds of people that could have used help. So I remember one time in particular, this kid, we had moved from the old dorms. So when I first got there, I stayed in a roll-off dorm. It's funny that you say that. And then they, like, right next door, they had Bucky Tucker, which technically I was young enough. I should have been in Bucky Tucker because I was like the little kid dorm, 11 to 12 or 13, I think 14 years old. Right. So I should have been in that dorm. And then they had these old, like, 4 trailers that were connected. I think you had Hiles, Rice, Boyd, and Hudson, I think. These are all predominant fundamental Baptist preachers, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, so I should have been there. I mean, I was 12 years old. I had 18-year-old dudes around me, jerking off next to my bunk. Like, come on, man. So, yeah, like, I don't even remember where I was going with that. But anyways.
Yeah. Well,
that's what. When we moved into the new dorm, the new dorm was like a barracks on steroids, right? So they had 150 bunk beds, so 75 bunk beds, 150 beds that lined the sides for like blue shirts and 18-year-olds or whatever.
Right.
I remember this one kid, So we were allowed to wear bathrobes to go to bed, and stuff. Well, he had wore his bathrobe. He'd cut the like the rope or the tie or whatever off the belt. And so backstory, when we had like 10 seconds to get out of bed, they'd flip them lights on, and householder staff would yell, "Get your feet on the floor. Your bed should already be made." You just woke up,
Yeah.
And you would literally hear like kids flying off their top bunk so that they didn't get in trouble. And if you kept sleeping, the staff members would walk over and flip your bunk, whether it was top or bottom. I watched dudes fall asleep or still sleeping on top bunks, get their mattress flipped, and they'd fall completely to the ground. I watched it, and then the mattress would fall on top of them. So with that, knowing that, this kid, I'm assuming, was trying to get this done. So he, right before the lights came on, he tied his belt around his neck, tied it around the little arm bar of the bunk bed, put his blanket over him, and we're making our bed, and nobody could get him out of bed. They're, "Hey man, get up before they see it." Brian, he was walking through and was like, "You need to get out of bed." It wasn't moving. What did he do? Flip the bed. So he flipped that mattress. We saw that kid fly over and hang on that bunk bed, and they cut it down and restrained him for it for like 3 or 4 hours.
He's lucky he didn't.
Right?
He's lucky he didn't snap his neck doing that.
That's probably what he was going for, to be honest. Knowing what I know now that I'm older, I mean, yeah. But we watched that dude hang there 10 seconds before they got him down. 20 seconds. And he wasn't the only one. There's lots of kids that did stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were so bad. I watched a couple of the kids. Their mom would die. Mom passed away, or family member passed. And instead of letting them go, the humane thing would let them go, say goodbye, go to the funeral,
right,
and come back in a week or two. They would brag, "No, you're not going. You're staying here. We don't care if your mom passed. You're in our custody now." They would not let them go, and it would mess those kids up, man.
Yeah, well, she's probably in hell, is probably what they would say. Yeah,
probably. She wore pants. Game over.
There you go. Yeah.
So that kind of problems. The mental game. I think the mental abuse was worse than the physical abuse. Your body can adapt, but once your mind's messed up at a young age, it's hard to come back.
Yeah.
Like we follow this page on Facebook, and when it was first started, it was meant for us to connect and see how people were doing. The stories they would hear, like some of these kids have nightmares, which I'm not going to say they don't, because I believe them.
Right.
Just mental trauma that they had. They still go through it. So
sure.
I mean, it's crazy.
Mental trauma can last for years, man. Sometimes a
sometimes a lifetime. Never go away.
Sometimes
it'll never go away. Sometimes. It's crazy. So a lot of these guys have some of the same dreams. They wake up in hell every day and can't leave Agape, and then they wake up and they're finally out of. Some of those dudes have those dreams like all the time.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's funny that we talk about it. So I don't really have nightmares or anything about that school, but I used to think, "Oh, I'm good. That school didn't bother me. Sure, it beat me up. I deserved it. I was a punk." And for like 10 years, up until last year, recently, is when I actually started going to counseling and like talking about stuff.
Right. And
I would always tell people, "Oh no, it doesn't bother me." But I was so jumpy, dude. Like if I didn't know you were in the room next to me, like when I went to sleep and you came in,
right,
I'd freak out, man. I'd go into attack mode and I could never figure out why. I'm like, man, why do I do this? And it wasn't like once or twice or like 3 month year. It was like I remember doing this at Agape. Like I was a blue shirt because I had to wait till I enlisted. Staff room would wake me up and I'd swing on them. And I never used to do that. I have no reason in my life to have that problem except for going to that school. And it still happens. Or I'd be out working on the rigs and somebody would sneak up on me to like mess with me or, "Hey, I need you to do this." And they would tap my shoulder. I'd freak out. So I always thought I never had issues, right? "Oh, it doesn't bother me," but really I was like a major dick because I had no emotions and I didn't really care about people's emotions or feelings. I was super jumpy. So, I mean, long term it did affect me. I just didn't know. I didn't realize it.
Yeah. So you
got help.
You enlisted in the Army.
Yeah.
Was the boot camp easier than Agape?
Oh, boot camp was a cakewalk, man. I remember like Agape would brag, "Oh man, we're harder than the Army boot camp." Some students told us that's what we're talking about. And honestly, sometimes like their workouts at Agape at first sucked, but I mean, you can only do so many push-ups before you get used to it. So many 8-count bodybuilders. The mental games the Army plays with you, it's not even really like, I don't know. For me, boot camp didn't suck. It was like a break because I was finally allowed to talk and do things. Like I can do what I'm told, no problem. You know, I've been doing it for years. But I mean, I remember watching kids like break down in tears, like they're just having a hard time. I'm like, all he did was yell at you, bro. Like it ain't that bad, you know? Or
right.
Yeah, I'm like, it ain't that bad, bud. And so I flew through boot camp. I remember getting to 30th AG down at Fort Benning. And, you know, you don't know what to expect. I'm 18 years old, going to the military because I ain't got nowhere else to go. We're in processing, so the first few days are miserable because you're tired, really, and they're yelling at you. But I remember I was eating one time. We were eating it right before we shipped out to actual boot camp, and these drill sergeants are yelling at everybody, getting people's faces. I remember thinking, this is how messed up that school made me. Like, this is freaking dope, man. This is pumping me up, man. This is hyping me up. That's how messed up that school was. I'm like, I should not be getting pumped up because some dudes are yelling at us, you know. But I loved it, man. It was so weird. So yeah, Agape was way worse than boot camp. So yeah. But they bragged about it, man. They brag about it, and yeah, I guess that's what you want to be. You know, if you want to be known for being a hard ass, then you want to be harder than the military boot camp, you know?
Yeah.
So.
But, so you're doing pretty good now?
Yeah, man, I'm doing well. We're actually in my house, you know,
That's
that I own. Like I said, I work in the oil field. I've been working on the rig since I was like 19 and a half. Pretty much as soon as I left the military that first time after I got hurt.
Right.
Joined the Guard. I've been working in the oil field. Currently working in West Texas, excelling in that, man. I've excelled in all my positions.
That's great.
I've never been arrested, never went to jail. I mean, I think I'm doing well. Maybe Agape doesn't. I don't know. But I was married, so the only bad thing about my life is I got divorced. But I mean, is that really a bad thing? If it's toxic, let's be honest. So
That's true.
You know, and I'm not saying that. I mean, I was toxic too because it's also when I started going to counseling, right, and finding out all this crap.
Right.
So.
Well, you know,
I think
nobody gives two shits on what Agape thinks. You know what I mean?
Nobody even cares about that school outside of that school.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know, if they're saying, yeah, well, you know, your life right now, this is what you're doing, it's no good. Well, you know
what does it matter?
Who gives a shit what you think? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I don't care.
My life is going great. I'm away from you guys.
And in some ways better than some of y'all's.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, I mean, I remember thinking, like, well, do these guys can't hold down a real job? Like, what's going on, man? Because you would see staff members leave and then come back. Staff members leave and then come back. I'm like, I don't understand it. Like, it can't, like, it ain't that good.
Well, maybe it's because they had to take orders when they were at their other job. Oh, we can't have that. I want to be able to give orders. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I know for a few people that probably was the case. But I'm like, man, you guys weren't treated good here either. You know, Brian would straight rip a staff member in front of all of us for no reason because he laughed. He told us a joke and we laughed, right?
Yeah.
Or something. Or whatever reason. I mean, it wasn't a good. I mean, it was a very hostile environment for the staff too. I'm not saying that. I could care less. They chose that. So.
I heard. I can't remember who it was I was talking to, but they said they were ripping on one of the staff members' wives as well.
Oh yeah, they'd yell at everybody.
Yeah.
Man, that's how bad that place was. We had to stop 10 feet in front of it for a kid or a staff wife to walk past us, and you know, couldn't say anything to them because for whatever reason they were held. I mean, to them we were just dirt, right? Yeah. Oh, Agape kids. They're trash kids, you know, and that's how. I mean, some of the staff wives treated us that way, man. Like, I remember,
and not knowing that probably 3/4 of those boys were probably undressing her with their eyes.
Nah, I would say all 175 of us were, even the gay ones probably.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic, bro. We had a couple of students that were like, I'm sure we had more students that were gay, but they just were too scared to say. We had this one kid, man. I mean, he was flamboyant. We knew he was gay. Shouldn't have been a problem, right? I mean, outside of him going to an all-boys boarding school, probably wasn't the smartest move, but, there you're taught, like, man, the stuff that we were taught back then would not fly in today's world.
Oh, no.
They straight bullied that kid, man. Like, to this day, I feel bad for him. I'm like, man, that dude didn't do nothing. Like, I don't even know why. I think he got sent to that school because he was gay. Like, honest to gosh, that kid was smart. I mean, he did good in school. He didn't really talk bad. He wasn't a bad kid. I think he got sent to that school because he was gay. And boy, did that school treat him like crap. And I remember they put him, and maybe he did or did not do stuff with some of the students. Who knows? Who cares?
Yeah.
And there's no way that kid could have forced you. He wasn't a big student, he was scrawny. So he got caught or trouble, and a couple kids, that kid got put, they used to have these things like striped shirts, striped collars, which when I first got there, it meant these two know each other, they're from the same gang, stay away from them. When he got there, no, they changed that to where, no, that's the homosexual shirt. If you're that, you're gay. They put him in that shirt. Oh. So he was segregated from us. They made him sit in the corner by himself. I mean, he could hang out with us, talk to us, go to free time with us, eat with us, nothing. In chapel, he had to stand in the back, if I remember right, for a while. I mean, completely secluded from us. In the dorms, he slept right in front of the night staff on the top bunk. Like, it was just probably a living hell, man. And just because he was gay. And then they tormented him, and they punished him, I don't even know, man. That kid, I feel bad for that kid.
Yeah.
And the other few that were, so.
Yeah. So, that's the way the Baptists are. Homosexuality is a complete sin. I mean,
abomination, man.
Yes, abomination.
I may not agree with it, right? But I'm not going to hate a person like they taught us because he is. My twin brother's gay.
Right.
I don't hate him, right? I'm going to still love my twin brother.
Sure.
And if he ever brings a husband around or a boyfriend, I'm going to have to learn to love that guy too, right? He's going to be family. So why would I hate on this guy and single him out and pick? I'm not straight bullying, man. Right. You can't do that. 15 years ago, you can get away with that.
Oh yeah.
Now, no.
I have friends I have friends that are gay. I treat them just like I would any other person.
Yeah, me too. I'm like, yo, you want to go to Chili's and grab a beer?
Yeah.
All right, let's go. I mean, they're just normal people, but at that school, you were gay. You were the worst of the worst. You were even lower than the students. Like, I just can't believe like that stuff happened, man. I was gonna tell you a story about the staff wives.
Yeah.
So this was in like my peak prime of being a punk, and I was, man. I didn't conform, man. I fought them all the whole time. So I definitely earned. Let me rephrase that. I definitely caused some of my punishments because I was not gonna give in to. I wasn't gonna be a sheep, man. I just wasn't. I was a free thinker, and so the staff wives at the time weren't supposed to talk to us. They weren't supposed to have say anything to us, any interaction with us, except for scooping some food on our plate. We could say thank you. They could say, "Oh, you're welcome." Can have a conversation. Well, this was after Brian had left, and then another family staff member took charge, and his wife would walk around like she was Queen Bee, man. She was the queen of the planet, and stuff had started to lighten up. I think it was like 2009. I don't know. Stuff had started to lighten up, and things were kind of changing. And it was Christmas Day, so Christmas at that school is already shitty, man. You got kids not getting any gifts because some of these kids' parents didn't care about them. Honest to God, they dumped them there, didn't call them, didn't write them, didn't see them for years. And like for me, for instance, I got letters, but I got one visit the entire third time I was there. Second time I was there.
Right.
So yeah, it's already a crappy day. And then on top of that, they bring their staff wives and kids in, and they have family Christmas there, and they get to enjoy it with. And so we're already, like, some of us are already hostile, in bad moods, angry. I remember this staff wife, director's wife, came walking through, and all prissy, and I was having a bad day. Who knows? And she was like, "You're not supposed to be talking." I was like, "Who the hell are you? What are you going to do about it?" And she goes, "Give me 20 push-ups," or whatever she said. I'm like, "No, I'm not. Can't give me push-ups. I'm just being mouthy. I know I'm using the rules against her." And she kept going. I said, look, listen here. I think I called her the B word. And I try not to cuss, but
yeah.
I'm pretty sure I did. And I was like, listen here, bitch. You have no say on me. You can't talk to me. You're not even supposed to be walking in the middle of us students. I said, I know this, you know this, and you know that I know this. So I'm not doing jack. So if you got a problem with it, I don't I don't care. So she went crying to the director, and he came over like, well, we can't be talking to my wife like that. I said, you're right, but she can't be talking to me. And I'm not doing your push-ups. So if you're going to restrain me, let's go. Like, shit, I'm not doing them. And so, yeah, I mean, they would act like gods around us. Like they were some holy person.
They could just tell you what to do, and you were going to do it, right? Yeah.
They thought. Scared her though, because most boys kind of were like, okay, yeah, I'll do the push-ups. I'm sure there was times I would have
froze again. You froze again, so that's okay. Well, you're back.
Can you see me now?
I can see you. Yeah, yeah.
So weird, man. Yeah. Sorry about that.
That's fine. It's probably it said poor connection. That's fine. We're good.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah. So, anyways, yeah, them staff wives, they weren't supposed to do that, and I think I scared her because most of the time there was like, yeah, I'll do the push-ups. And I'm sure at times I did push-ups from them. I just wasn't doing it that day. And, it was crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it happens. I don't know, maybe she had hots for you or something. Who knows?
I hope not. I hope not, man.
You never know. Maybe she was undressing you with her eyes. You never know.
That's, from some of the stories that I've heard. Well, so I think some of them, from what I heard, there's a few staff ladies that may have been predators, man. I don't know. Oh. Can't prove it or not, but you never know, man. I mean, I think working in troubled teen homes like that, where you have full control, is kind of a problem anyways,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, even if they separate the boys from the girls, you still got the older ladies there, so.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Exactly.
Either way,
yeah,
it happens.
Man, I can't believe schools like that are even around, man, and unregulated. Like, I mean, there's a reason why they go to Missouri, right? Nobody comes in.
Right.
No cops. And I don't know this for sure, but when I was going there, I always thought that, like, Agape was funding the police or some way or another, funding the mayors, the town. That's why we would go out and do all these work crews for these citizens, just trying to give them a good name so they wouldn't believe anything we would tell them.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
For free, it's crazy. I always tell people, yeah, they pimped us out, man. They'd go make us do a bunch of work at some person's house or business, and then that person would write them a check, and we would see none of it go back.
Oh, yeah.
We were just happy to get out of the facility, and interact with real people.
I'm amazed nobody tried to run while they were out there.
No, we did.
Oh.
We probably had people talk about running every day, and every few weeks somebody would attempt it.
Yeah.
And there's signs, like we knew, like, when people are getting ready to run, because they would put an extra shirt on, or they'd wear their long johns to chapel or something. We knew what they were doing, and of course we should have told on them because that's what made us look better. I didn't have no interest in telling. I didn't care about a steak dinner, man.
A steak dinner.
I remember. Oh yeah, that was the thing, and I don't know if it's still that way, but if a kid took off running or attempted to run and you tackled him, supposedly you got a steak dinner. I never saw it.
Yeah.
It's crazy though, because we had we had buddy status, so you had to stay 3 feet from your guide, from a kid 1 year older than you.
Huh.
And they would be dicks, man. They'd be walking, and you would see, like, be watching them, and the new kid may have been like mouthy or something. They would be walking to, like, go get some water out of the fountain, and the guy would just turn the other way, and they didn't tell the kid, and he'd still be walking towards the door, because that's where the water fountain was. And he'd say, "Oh, my buddy's trying to run," and like 3 dudes would try to tackle him. I'm like, so jacked up, man.
I'm amazed nobody was killed from being restrained.
You and I both, man. You and I both. I think some people came close, I remember watching kids come out. They'll deny this. They bragged about their padded palace, which was a room like 12 by 12 or maybe 12 by 10, carpet on the walls, carpet on the ground, and drywall, and everything's brick there because it's like Tornado Alley, so everything, knowing what I know now, it's all brick infrastructure. They would come down and their faces would be like carpet burned all the way from here up, both sides. I mean, their eyes would be black and blue. They would have bruises on their arms, that spanned the entire arm length.
Yeah.
Legs, they'd come up, they couldn't move their fingers. Like, for days, they couldn't do anything like this. They just couldn't move, and their nerves were so jacked up. I know a couple times when I got restrained. So I usually fought them until they slammed me on the ground, because by that time it was like, I'm just making it worse for myself. And so, like, they would go to, like, grab me, and I would start swinging on them, and there'd be a little brief scuffle, 1 against 4 fat Baptists, It's a quickly lost battle.
Right.
But, I'd get slammed against the walls, everything, or elbowed in the back of the head. And then they'd get on top of you, and, they'd stick their knee in the back of your neck, kind of like George Floyd, actually almost identical to that, except it's 4 or 5 of them and not just one.
Yeah.
And they'd have, they'd do that to you. And if you moved or twitched, they would grind. And I witnessed some restraints, man. They would grind their fists or their knees or elbows in these dudes' legs, nerves.
Oh.
And they would come back jacked up, man. I mean, not just one kid. I would watch hundreds of kids come up bloody and bruised. And it didn't matter where. It could be in the dining hall, the hallway, the chapel. We had this kid that, really good guy. He left to join the Marine Corps. And he's probably like 5'2". Like, he was never a very tall kid. But he was a well-known kid. So some people will remember this story if they hear it. We were hauling rocks. We had this massive rock pile. It was a Saturday. And it was actually Brian's son and son-in-law. Who knows what this kid did? He probably mouthed off. We don't know. I mean, he was a relatively good kid. Mouthed off. We were out there on the gravel road. Them 2 dudes picked this dude up, like almost over their heads, slammed him on the ground, and restrained him on the ground. And of course, to the staff, that's like excitement, right? It's exciting. They get to do something. They get to beat up a kid. And 2 or 3 more jumped on him, and he's probably fighting them. They're on his legs and slamming him and their arms and pressure points, and you can hear him screaming like, "You're hurting!" Just is it hurt? And in that situation, when that happens, we're supposed to like sit down and turn away. None of us did, man. And then I think we were getting kind of antsy because we started like yelling and stuff. And they picked him up and like carried him to the intake room, out of sight. Right, there's too many people that could see it.
Yeah.
And he came back jacked up, man. And after that, we talked about starting a riot, and it probably would have went through had somebody not told on us. There was about 8 or 9 of us that agreed to. I say a riot. It was really just beat up the staff members in the dorm,
Yeah.
And it may have turned. It was really just to beat them up and get away. If we killed them, we killed them. It is what it is. But we had, and that wasn't just one time, right? It was like that crap was happening day in and day out, nighttime. I mean, it was all the time. I mean, crazy.
Yeah.
And so we probably would have happened. We got told on. And of course, that was the worst thing that could have happened because we got stuck in trouble for months. But yeah, I mean that happened all the time, and I know it's crazy because it sucks because we couldn't do anything about it, and if we tried, we always knew somebody was going to tell on us. So no matter what was said, like for me, one time I'd gotten in trouble for who knows what, and when I first got back the second time, and I had made a comment like, it was actually to that kid's little brother, and I love them both, but I said, why are we letting them do this to us? Why don't we just take some broomsticks and take it to their face? And that's what I had full intentions of doing that. Well, he told on me, and to the staff member I was going to do it to, I walked up with a broom. He's like, "You going to hit me with that?" I said, "I'm thinking about it," and I got in trouble. And well, he restrained me on the spot. Big ordeal. Got put back in an orange shirt. And then 2 other Hispanic kids did too. And, but so by this time we had already been beat up and restrained a bunch of times, so we had enough. we had enough.
Yeah.
And like I said, if we tried, somebody was going to tell on us anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. And honestly, I think if they probably wouldn't have put hands on us so much, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Or if there were legit reasons,
Right.
So, and I don't think anybody would have tried to start a riot or beat up staff. I mean, I watched staff members get beat up, or punched in the face. I don't think they would have tried that if they just didn't beat on us all the time. So, it's crazy, man.
Oh, it is. It's really crazy.
Yep.
Anyway,
yeah.
Colton.
I could tell you stories for days, man. That's just crazy. I know I didn't tell much.
That's all right. We could do a part 2 on this. So whenever you get all your thoughts together, we can do this again.
Yep.
It's been great. Thanks for being on the program. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I hope other boys. I know a lot of boys. I think James Griffey, or I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah.
Made a statement like, I don't know why these Agape kids don't want to speak up. I think it was, to answer his question, I think it was because nobody cared enough to listen. And we're older now. It's in the past, right? Men are a little bit more different than girls. So I hope that more come on and speak, man.
I think what it's about is right now is the movement is starting to grow, and basically they want these homes shut down.
Yeah, at the very minimum,
right.
Regulated, right?
That way other kids don't go through the same, stuff that you guys went through,
Yeah, man. And I think, and thank God for Amanda, right?
Oh yeah.
Amanda put them boots up and said, "Let's go. I'm gonna have to turn against my family, but I'm gonna save hundreds of kids' lives," right?
Oh yeah.
So that woman's the strongest woman I know, and probably will ever know.
Yep, she deserves. She deserves a lot.
She does. She deserves more than I could give her, man. So
yeah,
I do hope that this encourages other kids, other guys that I know, to jump on here and talk to you.
And of course, to the people watching, when I put this online, if you want to, if you're from the Agape and you want to tell your story, there's a number on the top of my channel page. Just give me a text. We'll schedule a time for you to come on. So,
yeah, he responds pretty quick. So
yeah, usually it goes right to my phone, and no matter what I'm doing, I text you back.
Yeah, man. So I appreciate what you're doing as well. Giving us a voice. I know you said you weren't part of a boarding school. You just went to school in one. You still understand what we're...
Yes, a little, just a real quick backstory here, real fast. I went, like I said, the Roll-Off Enterprise in Corpus Christi, Texas, because I'm from Corpus Christi, Texas. My dad was a follower of the Baptist movement. He loved Lester Roloff, and it was he had found out what Lester Roloff's favorite ice cream was. Okay.
Really?
Lester Roloff's favorite ice cream was pralines and cream. Okay, it's like an ice cream with pecans in it, because Lester Roloff loved pecans. So that's what he would get because Lester Roloff loved it. But anyway, we went to the elementary school behind one of the homes, and you could just see the look on these girls' face. The girls' face from the abuse that's been happening, and I wanted to do something about it. So when I started another podcast with a friend of mine, it kind of dissolved, and I had put out some feelers for some Rebecca Holmes survivors. And 2 years after that podcast dissolved, a lady called me up. She wanted to tell her story, so I started up this one, and the calls have just been pouring in. So yes, I'm glad I could do this, because it really I'm glad I'm doing my part. You know what I mean? I wasn't there,
man.
But I'm helping you, the ladies and you guys out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's not just Agape Boarding School or Wings of Faith or Circle of Hope, right?
Oh no, it's
the camps in Utah or in Ensenada, Mexico.
Or
all these
Jamaica,
places,
Jamaica too.
Jamaica, yes. It's all of these places, man.
Oh yeah, they're everywhere. They're all over the world.
You can, anywhere you can be not government, ran or licensed, they're there. So
yeah, and Skype and YouTube is worldwide. So anybody that's probably over there in Europe somewhere or wherever, if they want to come on, hey,
Yeah.
I'm all ears. So we'll get the word out. So.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Yep. Stay on the line for a second, Colton. I want to chat with you real fast, okay?
Yes, sir.
Let me go ahead and end the podcast here. So, everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank Colton for being on the podcast today. So, everybody, for the Hammer Podcast, I'm Jason. You take care of yourselves, and you take care of each other.